Folks, we are back to the dark era of abductions and arbitrary arrests, when people are disappeared, missing, taken, kidnapped, abducted. And I'm not sure it is by thugs, but in some cases, the trail leads right to security officials. And yes, let's not debate this term. Those are abductions. Because, folks, there is a proper procedure to how arrests are and should be done. We all know it. What we have here with masked men in plain clothing who don't identify themselves and grab people in the dead of night or in plain daylight is just pure thuggery. And it is that thuggery that we seem to have normalized. In 2024, 14 years after the promulgation of the Constitution, political dissent, difference of opinion, and the right to gather peacefully is something that the powers that be seem to be quite uncomfortable with. You see, in a period of just 2 months, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights has recorded over 60 abductions and a record 682 arbitrary arrests. Those are not just numbers. They represent families and loved ones who are in great pain and anguish. And the incidents are as bizarre and as unacceptable as one would imagine. Take, for instance, Joseph Mwangi, a young 28-year-old who was abducted during the protests in June, blindfolded and driven to an unknown location. His family searched and searched for him for days, well beyond the 24-hour requirement to produce an arrested person in court. He was found 1 month later. 1 month later. And this was after being transferred between multiple stations. And who can forget veteran journalist Macharia Gaitho, who was abducted at, of all places, a police station. Pray tell, when they roughly bundled him into a car within the precincts of a police station, where were they taking him to? I mean, aren't suspects usually taken to a police station, being arrested, rather than away from one? And also, when in danger, don't you run to a police station for refuge, only to get abducted in one? Folks, isn't it interesting how people are abducted by unknown people, but found at police stations? I mean, are we to believe that these are thugs who are conducting these abductions, taking people, but then they take them to a police station? Isn't that curious? But yet, our security officials are much better at singing Shaggy's "It Wasn't Me" than the singer himself. DCI director, in a meeting with the Kenya Editors Guild, said that the DCI is not involved in the rampant kidnappings we've witnessed in the country. So how is it that people taken by masked men are released from police stations? But it is also what he said after that that is more shocking. And allow me to quote him. He said, "I wish I knew where the missing Kenyans are." This is the man in charge of keeping Kenyans safe. He doesn't know where the missing Kenyans are, and he wishes he did. So if he doesn't know where they are, who should? Now, I note that this statement was not followed by a promise to look into the kidnappings and find the missing and arrest those who are behind the kidnappings, because obviously it's not the police. But you have a rather helpless shrugging of the shoulders. And this denial, or even worse, the silence of the police in the wake of abductions, is most worrying and rather curious. Folks, you see, it's sort of starting to become normal for us to wake up every day in this country to a hashtag on social media saying "free so-and-so." Is it normal for us to be airing stories of missing persons abducted on an almost daily or weekly basis? Jamil Longton Hashim, Aslam Longton, Bob Njagi, where are they? Almost 2 weeks later. Are the police not the least bit concerned about their whereabouts? What of the court order to produce them in court? Where is the effort to find them and others who've been abducted? How far is the investigation into finding them and dozens of others? How many witnesses have they spoken to? What leads are they chasing? Do we have any updates on this, other than their categorical denial that they are not themselves involved? And why is this starting to become such a normal occurrence in Kenya now? So the police aren't behind it. They wish they knew who was. So now Tufanye. And just today, Mr. President, I'd like to address you. You made this promise, and I quote, "Under my administration, I do not want a situation where Kenyans disappear." Mr. President, you further said, "I want to promise the people of Kenya that under my administration, there will be no Kenyans in Rivayala or any other place." Well, Mr. President, we have Kware now, and there are families tonight who are missing their loved ones. Is this a promise you intend to keep? That's my take tonight.